When planning a trip to Vegas, trying to decide which hotel would be best to stay at can be difficult in itself, but trying to find the perfect room or suite could be just as difficult as trying to decide on a hotel itself. Well, what if your options were picking a hotel and at the bare minimum, you would at least stay in the studio? Would that make things a little bit easier for you? Today, we're going to talk about the best all-suite resorts in Las Vegas and in the Las Vegas Strip vicinity. So without further ado, let's get started. Now, over the last few series of video, we've talked about the best hotels, we've talked about the worst hotels, we've talked about hotels you really shouldn't waste your money at because you can get better value, and then we've talked about the underrated hotels. But today I wanted to talk about the best all-suite resorts because I believe there are a couple of resorts and hotels that people actually overlook because they're just surrounded by the bigger mega resorts. So if you're planning a trip to Vegas and you want to get the best bang for your buck, some of these hotels might actually be something that you should consider. And they're also sleepers because, again, at the bare minimum, you'll get a studio as your base room compared to a standard room at some luxury or above average hotels. So in no particular order, we're going to talk about my 5 best all-suite resorts that you should consider staying at if you're planning a trip to Vegas and you're looking for something with a little more space, bigger than a standard room. Now, first on the list, I have the Vdara. Now, I've talked about the Vdara multiple times on this channel about how I think it's one of the most underrated hotels in Las Vegas in general. And a big part of it is because it's surrounded by Aria, Bellagio, and the Cosmo. And those are all popular hotels, high-end 5-star hotels that have rooms and suites and a lot of attractions. Now, people who like to go to Vegas and they want to stay somewhere that's quiet, but they want a nice modern feel, but they want to also feel like they're staying home away from home, they love the Vdara. I've recently done a video of the best suites at the Vdara, so if you do want to consider staying at the Vdara but not sure exactly which suite you should choose, you can check that video out when I did a breakdown on some of the most popular suites at the Vdara. But the fact that this hotel is an all-suite resort and it's literally slightly off the strip, I always call it a sleeper. The base studio at the hotel is 582 square feet. You get an empty mini refrigerator, a microwave, and a kitchenette. And we all know late night, if we get some food before we go out, regardless if we're going to party, if we're just going to gamble, if we're going to see a show, coming back to your room late night before you go to sleep, if you want to get something to eat and you want to have some food warmed up that's left over, nothing better than having a microwave. And then the bedroom and living room space just truly makes you feel like you're home away from home because it's got a big open layout so that if you walk in, you don't feel like you're walking directly into a bed. You actually have some room to sit around. You also get a pull-out sleeper sofa if you do have extra guests. Floor-to-ceiling windows, motorized panels, a beautiful bathroom. And for this to be in the price range that's cheaper than some of the luxury hotels, but also have access to many of the hotels and a lot of the different things in the center strip, is just truly unbeatable. But Vdara was the first hotel in this top 5 all-suite resort list. Let's go ahead and move on to the next hotel. Next on the list, I have the Signature at MGM Grand. Now, when it comes to the debatable best all-suite or hotels in general in Las Vegas that actually make you feel home away from home, these are 2 of the hotels that always go back and forth between travelers that go to Vegas because both of these hotels, their base suite or their base studio, come with the kitchenette. And as I said with the Vdara video, that's just something you don't find often in Vegas. Now, the difference between the Vdara and Signature, 2 of the biggest difference. One is the location because, as I mentioned earlier, the Vdara is in center strip vicinity versus the Signature at MGM Grand. It's actually behind the MGM Grand. So you can get to the strip from the Signature at MGM Grand. It's going to take you a little while because you've got to go through the tunnel from the Signature at MGM Grand. You've got to walk through MGM Hotel itself just to access the strip, which in my opinion takes away from the hotel itself because it gets to a point where people aren't going to want to consistently do that walk back and forth. And even though you do get your money's worth staying here, that can just become an inconvenience. But even having to walk through MGM Grand, I still have the Signature as one of the top 5 all-suite resorts in Las Vegas and in the Las Vegas Strip vicinity. In the deluxe suite at the Signature, you get a kitchenette as well. You also get a microwave and you also have an empty mini refrigerator. So you have that kitchen space that gives you the options to do a multitude of things if you want to talk about food and trying to eat before and after you go out and enjoy Vegas. And the bathroom, even though it's not as modern looking as the Vdara suites are, you do actually get a jacuzzi tub, and the jacuzzi tub is huge. How many people can you fit in there? Well, I guess it depends on body types, but I know you can easily fit 2 people. I'll say maybe 3 or 4 depending on what you're trying to do. But you also get a walk-in shower. You also have a nice size space as there's a divider to separate the living room from the bedroom space, and you also get a pull-out sleeper sofa on the couch as well in this suite. But even at 550 square feet, that's still a very nice size space for that to be your standard room, and it's something that you're not going to get at a lot of hotels, which easily makes this one of the top 5 all-suite resorts. And just like the Vdara, there isn't a casino. This is more of a quiet hotel. But you can just walk right into the MGM Grand and use the casino. But I've got the Signature as number 2 on this all suite list. Again, in no particular order, just the second hotel. Let's go ahead and talk about the next hotel on this list. Now at the number 3 spot, I have the Palms, and specifically the Palms Place. Now, I just did a video about the most underrated hotels in Las Vegas and in the Las Vegas Strip vicinity. And without a doubt, Palms Place could have been on that list. I didn't exclude them for any particular reason. I just didn't have them on the list because there's a lot of hotels that can go back and forth about that. But Palms Place a lot of times gets overshadowed like some of these other hotels on this list because of the mega resorts. But it gets overshadowed by its own property itself, the Palms Casino and Resort. When you hear about Palms, you think about Palms, you think about Ghost Bar, you think about the casino, you think about the luxury suites that they have at the Palms, but you don't necessarily think about the Palms Place, which is just the tower across from the casino. Now, just like the Vdara and the Signature at MGM Grand, the studio at the Palms also has a kitchenette and a microwave, an empty mini refrigerator, along with a very, very nice bathroom. And you could arguably debate that the bathroom at this Palm studio is nicer than the bathrooms at the Signature at MGM Grand and the Vdara. I'll leave that up to you all in the comments to debate. But the studio is actually 615 square feet as the base studio, which makes this bigger than the base suites at the Vdara and Signature at MGM Grand. You do get a king bed with a separated living room area, and you do get a sectional couch in this studio that also has a pull-out sleeper sofa. Now with the Palm studio, it does have a balcony connected to it. Now there has been some back and forth of if you can access the balcony or not. When I actually stayed at Palms, when I was doing the room tour for the video, I wasn't able to access my balcony. Some people said they've actually stayed in the studio and have been able to access their balcony. So it could have been a situation where maybe just the door wasn't working on my particular room. Some people said they actually had to book an Airbnb to access the balcony. So I would actually call the hotel just to see if you're able to actually access the balcony if you're going to consider staying here. But even without the balcony, at 615 square feet, to have a king bed with an extra sleeper sofa, sectional couch, all of the amenities that come in this base studio, because the Palms is off the strip, a lot of times you're going to find rates for the studio as a very, very affordable stay. And it's something that you should consider if you don't mind staying off the strip. And again, with it being an all-suite resort, it has to be in the top 5 because it gives you amenities that most of the hotels in Vegas don't. But I've got Palms at number 3 on my top 5 all-suite resort list. Let's go ahead and talk about the next hotel. At the number 4 spot, I have the Encore, which I'm pretty sure for most of you who know Vegas, we're probably saying, if you don't have Encore on this list, I'm not listening to nothing else you have to say about hotels in Vegas ever again. There was no way I was going to leave Encore off the top 5 list of all suite hotels. I mean, Encore itself, I don't even have to go too much into it. It pretty much speaks for itself. As most people know, the Encore is the twin property to the Wynn, so you know it's luxury. You know it's going to be a 5-star experience. You know it's impossible to stay here and not have a nice suite. The base suite at the Encore is 745 square feet, so it is the biggest base suite of all on the list. You've got a beautiful bathroom, a luxury entryway, comfortable bedding, but unlike the prior 3 hotels on this list, you do not get a kitchenette or an empty mini refrigerator in this suite, and you also don't get a pull-out sleeper sofa. And this is the ultimate definition when it comes down to the battle of luxury versus amenities and convenience, because some people may prefer just to have the luxury stay. They might not care about having a kitchen or a kitchenette or an empty mini refrigerator. They just want that wow factor, that luxury stay. Versus with the other hotels, you can get a luxury and that wow factor, but you also get some of the other amenities. Now, when we look at the Encore and you look at these base suites, this is the prime example of where you sit here and say, do I want that ultimate wow luxury feel, or do I want that wow luxury feel with some of the extra amenities? Because the Encore, compared to the other 3 hotels, without a doubt, is by far the most luxurious hotel. It's a beautiful hotel. The suites are beautiful. They'll probably give you the ultimate wow factor when you walk in, better than any of the other 3 hotels so far. But it also lacks a lot of those amenities and some of the convenience that you'll get by staying in the other hotels. It's why you just can't have no perfect suite. You have to choose the good with the bad, and you ultimately have to decide what do you think is worth the money. But with all of that said, there's no question that Encore is one of, to some people, arguably the best all-suite hotel on the Las Vegas Strip and in Las Vegas in general. But I've got Encore number 4 on the list, so let's move on to the last hotel or hotels on this list. And last but not least, I have the Venetian and the Palazzo. And I have both of these hotels at the last spot because no, they're not the same property. They're 2 separate towers, but they're connected to the same property. And as I did in the best hotel video, I did specifically state that the Venetian was a better hotel than the Palazzo because they both have their own casinos, but there are things that you get at the Venetian that you do not get at the Palazzo. But with that said, both of these all-suite resorts are just phenomenal. Now, they are a couple hotels going towards south and closer to things that are on the center strip in comparison to the Encore. But when you talk about the best base suites in all of Las Vegas, I've always said for the longest time that the Venetian may arguably have the best base suites out of all of the suites at any hotel in Las Vegas. The base suite at the Venetian is 650 square feet. You get a walk-in shower, soak-in tub. Now, you don't get a kitchenette or a microwave or an empty mini refrigerator like you do at the first 3 suites, but you do get a king bed, and you actually have a sunken living room, which actually makes the suite feel like its own separate space. It kind of makes it feel like you have 2 suites in one. But in the sunken living room, you actually have a sectional couch, or you have a couch that has a pull-out sleeper sofa, and then you get beautiful views with floor-to-ceiling windows with motorized panels. And at the Palazzo in the base suite, you actually have a 720 square foot base suite with the same things that you get at the Venetian. You get the walk-in shower, soak-in tub. You also don't get a kitchenette or an empty mini refrigerator or a microwave, but it also does have the sunken living room. And the biggest difference between Venetian and Palazzo is in their base suites. The Venetian typically gives you a regular couch. The Palazzo just gives you the sectional couch, but they both have pull-out sleeper sofas, and they're both really spacious, but you do get more space in the Palazzo's base suite than you do at the Venetian's. But at 650 and 720 square feet for a base suite, they feel much bigger than the actual square feet. Now, some of the suites at some of the other hotels, even when you go up an extra layer, they're not as big as the 720 square feet that you'll get at the Palazzo. It's just hard to describe how spacious those Palazzo and Venetian suites feel. Like, you literally could have a big group of people, and some people could be in the bedroom space, some people could be in the living room space, and you don't feel crammed or cluttered at all. And that's why I've always said these have to be the best base suites on the Las Vegas Strip or in Las Vegas in general, because it's just unheard of to have a sunken living room in a base suite. A lot of times you'll have to upgrade and get bigger suites to get this kind of space and a layout, but at the Palazzo and Venetian, it just comes standard. But these are my top 5 all-suite resorts in Las Vegas and in the Las Vegas Strip vicinity. If there's a hotel that you think I left off or that you think should be in this list, comment below. I will go out here and throw this out that the Delano is an honorable mention. I think the Delano, which is an all-suite resort at the Mandalay Bay, connected to each other like some of these other hotels are, is a hotel that could be on this list, but I wouldn't put it above any of these other hotels. If you would put the Delano above any of these, you can also comment and let me know as well. But that's going to do it for this video. If you all enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and as always, thanks for watching.